Well, talking about adding value, I guess that's what the federal government has attempted to do in recent times, but very specific now in the pharmaceutical sector of Nigeria, because the government disclosed it has granted more than 6 billion naira in tax waivers to 47 Nigerian pharmaceutical manufacturers under the Presidential Executive Order on Health Products as part of efforts to accelerate local production of medicines and reduce Nigeria's dependence on imported pharmaceuticals. Let's get inside information on this with the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Fitson Healthcare PLC, Mr. Biola Adebayo. He's also a member of the Executive Committee of the PMG Atman Manufacturers. Good morning, Mr. Adebayo, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning, Ini. Thank you for inviting me. Good morning, Nigerians.
So, I think we've had, tax waivers and something like this before. These efforts by the government, normally, would you say it has been impactful?
Thank you very much. Let me commend the current federal government of Nigeria for the initiative, especially the fiscal incentive given to pharmaceutical manufacturing to ensure that prices of health commodities, especially pharmaceutical products, which of course were on the rise prior to the implementation of the Presidential Executive Order, they were able to put in place this fiscal incentive, which has stemmed the upward trajectory of the prices of health commodities in Nigeria. I want to assure Nigerians and I want to assure you that that incentive has been very, very helpful, especially in the pharma industry and given the current stability that we have in the prices of commodity of pharmaceuticals in Nigeria today.
Yeah. So, in what way, if we are more specific, would you say it has come in handy in the industry or in the sector?
Yeah, thank you very much. Prior to March 2025, that was before the PEO came into effect. Of course, pharmaceutical raw materials and packaging materials attracted between 5 to 10 or 15% duty, including other statutory taxes and levies. But with the introduction of a PEO in March, we are no longer paying custom duties and other statutory levies, taxes, which of course have made pharmaceutical manufacturing input to be cheaper. We are able to, produce cheaper, more. We utilize our capacity a lot more. And like I said earlier, the upward trajectory of prices of health commodities began to stabilize. As a matter of fact, that initiative alone stemmed the upward rising of the prices of the commodities. It has stemmed that prices today have become stabilized, and the next phase we are looking forward to is to begin to see those prices coming down for as long as this incentive or this fiscal incentive still remains in place. Therefore, Nigerians will now begin to see a drop in the prices of health commodities anytime from.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nigeria will begin to see a drop in prices of commodities anytime from now. Like I said, that upward trajectory of prices have been stemmed. Prices are now become stabilized. We are producing more. Capacity utilization
has increased. 70%, which you're asking for, because your arm of man asked that you want 70% local production of pharmaceuticals. And I have to add there, when we say production, do we see the raw materials coming from Nigeria, or are we just putting those things together after importing the raw materials?
Yeah, thank you very much. Again, because of the commitment of the current government to its policies, especially in the manufacturing sector, a lot of us manufacturers began to yield to those policies. In the past, when they put policies in place, we hardly believed. because it doesn't take them time for somebody else to come into the scene and will change the policy. In other words, talking about policy somersault. But in the last 3 years, we have seen that the current government is walking the talk. The PEO has come into effect, is useful, we are benefiting from it. Now, as at 2018, the ratio of the medicines manufactured in Nigeria compared to the imported is about 30 to 70. That is 70% in favor of imported manufacturing, imported finished goods. As at today, given the data from NAFDAC and other relevant agencies, it is 50-50. That shows that in about 3-4 years, we have really improved. It's 50-50 as of today. I can assure you, in another 3 years or 4 years, we are going to upturn that ratio into 70% of medicines being consumed in Nigeria being manufactured by local manufacturers and about 30 being imported. That is our aspiration. That is where we are going. And I can also assure you that until we get to about 90-30, we will not stop.
90-10, you mean?
90-10, sorry. 90-10, we will not stop. That's our aspiration.
But what about the raw materials? Are they from Nigeria or they're imported?
Yeah, thank you very much. Everything is in stages. As at 4 or 5 years ago, you will not even hear anybody in Nigeria thinking of starting a manufacturing facility for APIs. That is raw and packaging materials, raw materials in Nigeria. As of today, we have 2 facilities coming up. One is about to be commissioned to manufacture an array of manufacturing APIs in Nigeria today. That wasn't the case about 5 years ago. Like I said, 5 years ago, nobody was even thinking about it. But because of the federal government policies, especially the fiscal incentives being given, either through PEO or through IDEC, which is a certificate being issued by the Federal Ministry of Finance, all of us have believed in this policy and we could see the sustainability of it. Hence, we begin to source for fund to inject into the pharma industry, especially across the entire value chain, be it drug discovery, drug production, manufacturing of API, even marketing and distribution. All these chains, they can't do without each other. And we begin to invest in every segment of the value chain, and especially as being promoted by PVAC. Therefore, when you combine what PVAC is doing, Federal Ministry of Health is doing, Federal Ministry of Health is doing, Federal Ministry of Finance, Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, including NAFDAC, you see that we have no choice but to take that ratio to 90% of medicines consumed in Nigeria being manufactured locally and 10% to be imported.
You know, when I was going online, I did see one conversation about, using our forefathers used to use herbs and things like that. Have we had that tested or possibility of putting that in our pharmaceuticals, or is still sometime in the future?
Yeah, the future you see is very near when it comes to incorporation of herbal medicines into our medical practice generally in Nigeria. A lot of work is going. If you look at what NAFDAC has done in the recent years, they brought a lot of herbal medical practitioners under the purview of NAFDAC. They are being regulated, their products are being tested, they are being tested for toxicology to ensure that they are safe. The next thing they want to do is to go into the efficacy, to test the efficacy of what they are claiming. Therefore, we are in the right direction of incorporating that into what we do currently in Nigeria. And a lot of us pharma companies are also working with research institutes, whether you call it NIPRID, Medical Research Institute in Oshodi, NIPRID in Abuja, and other research centers in our various universities. A lot of work is going on to ensure that our local herbs, the active ingredients there, we are making sure that we now begin to incorporate them as is being done in China, India, and other jurisdictions, to ensure that we embrace the values and the benefits that our forefathers were using to treat our people in those days. And they are very effective. All we need to do is to do more. We need funding. We need more to do this. And I can assure you that local manufacturers, especially manufacturing facilities in Nigeria, we are working with our researchers, with NAFDAC, government agencies, to ensure that that is incorporated into what we do currently, not just to embrace only orthodox medicines alone. There are a lot of benefits, a lot of values entrenched in herbal medicines. And I can assure you that we are working towards that in no distant future. You see all these being displayed. As a matter of fact, when you come to some factories, you see herbal medicines being produced, being manufactured as though they were orthodox. given the kind of technologies that have gone into it, the kind of research work that we have done into that, and so many other things that we are doing to ensure that herbal medicines.
Making it available is one, the market is another, because over the years, the taste of the consumers, mostly in Nigeria, seem to have turned to the orthodox. So would you have to do work on that side, or do you already have a ready market for that aspect of the product?
Thank you very much. I understand what you mean by the taste of the consumers, of their preference. Remember, in those days in Nigeria, we all had preferences for foreign-made goods, including food, rice, beverages, and what have you. But today, why did I say that as of today, 70% of products that we are consuming, especially medicines that we are consuming in Nigeria, are manufactured locally? Tastes and preferences are changing for so many reasons. One, for economic reasons. Two, enlightenment campaign on the part of government and practitioners, in that people have now come to realize that when it comes to efficacy of products, safety and quality, imported products are not better than what we are manufacturing in Nigeria. People have come to realize that. Therefore, all those olden days perception that it can only be good if it is foreign is long gone. And a lot of people are now embracing locally manufactured products, even in surgery, everywhere, in high-tech products. We are all going into it, into diabetes, hypertensive drugs, and biologics. We are going into all this. I mean, large volume parenterals. You mentioned them. Nigeria is now producing them, and people are embracing them. Go to all the hospitals. You can hardly see any infusion products, which is commonly called drips, being imported into Nigeria again. And these are high-tech products. They are very expensive to manufacture. We have the capacity, we have the capability, we have the machinery, we have the quality management system to manufacture all this. That's the quality, I mean, the capacity. Capacity is about the capacity and the capability of your people. They are all there. You go to some factories today, you don't see any foreigners. We run all those machines ourselves. We do our quality management system ourselves. We do our formulation ourselves, our research by ourselves. That doesn't mean we don't need expertise from abroad. They are there. But what we do, especially in PMG-MAN, is to ensure that majority of the companies where you see foreigners, they are on contract. You train our people, you do transfer of skills, technology, and knowledge. And after 2, 3, 4 years, we ask them to go. Therefore, when you come to a company like Fitson today, you could hardly see any foreigners except those who are on contract, and their duty, their primary responsibility is to train Nigerians, transfer skills and technology, and you go back to your country. That is where we are today. Therefore, we are getting there. It's a matter of time.
But you still mentioned the issue of capital, though.
Yeah, capital is quite essential. And I want to give kudos to, again, the federal government of Nigeria and the policy. It's developmental banks like BOI, even CBN and Nexim. They are really trying in ensuring that we get loans or facilities that are softer in nature than what commercial banks will give you, and they are also longer tenured. Today, the commercial banks will not give you anything less than maybe 24 to 26%, whereas BOI can still give you about 13 to 15% longer tenured, and that enables us to fund capital expenditure like importation of machineries, raw materials, working capitals, and also to expand our operations. Today, given the policies of NAFDAC, especially their 5+5 policy, import ceiling policy, and other policies being pursued by NAFDAC, a lot of us are now doing more in terms of capacity expansion of the current facility, producing more, and even greenfield projects are going on in so many companies like Fitson, Emzor, SKG, Miriam Baker, and what have you. All of them are now building new facilities because of increased demands for local manufactured medicines in Nigeria, and we are employing more people. And by the time we put all this together, it's a matter of time before you begin to now see prices of these commodities coming down in Nigeria. Therefore, funding is there, but if government can ensure that we have access to cheaper funding, we are not asking for grants. It's not there. But if you can get single-digit facility, we have access to good facility, long tenured, I can assure you that Nigeria is going to become what India is to Asia in terms of medicine manufacturing, Nigeria will become one, not only to West Africa, but to Africa. Because whether you like it or not, manufacturing capacity for medicines in Nigeria is about 60 to 70% of what obtains in the entire West Africa. I doubt if any country in Africa has the kind of capacity to manufacture in Nigeria, including South Africa and Egypt. They do not have. PMG Man can boast of about 150 active manufacturers
in the pharmaceutical
sector alone in Nigeria. 150 manufacturers who are very active in manufacturing, and they all have standard manufacturing practices. The quality management system there is unparalleled. You can't compare it to what obtains in other countries. Therefore, NAFDAC is also there. It is because of that NAFDAC was able to be given ML3 status. They are going to ML4 now, and before you know it, NAFDAC will be WLA, that is WHO listed authority, which means any medicines manufactured in Nigeria can be sold anywhere in the world. These are opportunities.
So quality control is perfect.
Ask NAFDAC. And I'm sure when you visit your clinics, your hospitals, they give you Nigerian-made products, and you get instant relief from those medicines. Then what are we talking about concerning quality management systems? A lot of companies in Nigeria are already WHO pre-qualified. Some companies are already going through WHO pre-qualification of their products today. What else do you want? The same thing FDA in America is doing. The same thing WHO is doing in Western world is what we are doing in Nigeria. We have the same body, the same regulatory authority. No singular authority in terms of regulatory is better than what NAFDAC is doing. NAFDAC has all the capacity, they have all the equipment, they have the personnel. Come to a factory and see what NAFDAC is doing. You will know that they are even more stringent on we local manufacturers than they do on imported products as of today in Nigeria. Therefore, kudos to NAFDAC.
But you know, I had a similar conversation some time ago, and there's this impression that it's only the big guys, I mean, Fitzin, you guys are the big ones, that are enjoying some of this, you know, that can give this kudos to the government. Those who are not so big are not feeling the benefits.
This is not true. This is not true. For example, the presidential executive order removing custom duties and other statutory taxes and levies from raw and packaging materials for as long as you are a certified PMG Man member and you manufacture medicines approved and registered by NAFDAC. Honestly, you can access that. When you are importing machineries, IDEC is there. That is Import Duty Exemption Certificate issued by Federal Ministry of Finance, exempting certain products and commodities, especially machines, from taxes, duties, and what have you. Therefore, all you need to do, especially to access IDEC, is to register with the Federal Ministry of Health on IDEC platform and enter your project profile, submit all the necessary documents. All your machines will come into Nigeria free of duties and taxes and what have you. And the same thing obtains for raw and packaging materials, just like I have said.
As long as you
are registered and you are doing genuine businesses. Therefore, and as far as I know, for manufacturers of medicines in Nigeria, you enjoy the presidential executive order incentives and also the incentive offered by IDEC and other policies that government has put in place with their commensurate or accompanying incentives.
So no bureaucracy is going to exempt any qualified manufacturer?
There is no bureaucracy that can disqualify you for as long as you are a genuine manufacturers of medicines in Nigeria. You run your business correctly and you have the necessary documents. You have to pay your taxes. And like I said, on NIDEC platform, there are documents to be submitted. You do that. It's the same thing you want to collect facilities from any financial institutions. There are conditions, that you need to fulfill. Once you are able to do that, and to the best of my knowledge, I'm not only the MD of Fitting Healthcare PSC, I'm also the treasurer of PMG Man. Therefore, I know what obtains in PMG Man. For as long as you are a member of PMG Man, we have never had any complaints from anybody telling us that they could not access the benefits of either the PEO or IDEC, except they don't know how to go about it. And if they don't know how to go about it, let them come to the secretariat, we'll take them by the hand through.
Well, it's right to hear a private sector, giving applause to the federal government, and we really appreciate that because that would mean progress for the economy, and health is wealth, is our first wealth. Anyways, thank you so much for your time on the program. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Fitton Healthcare PLC, Mr. Biola Adebayo. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you allow me to make my last wish.
Okay, please go ahead.
I want to give kudos to the current leadership in NAFDAC. The current leadership in NAFDAC is totally pro-manufacturing. The tenure of the current DG is coming to an end in another 16 or 17 months. I pray that the next government will give us another DG that will be pro-manufacturing. Thank you very much.
Well, it's a stakeholders conversation, so I guess that you would have to talk to your NAFDAC and your people to look for somebody who will be pro-manufacturing.
Exactly. Just like Professor
All right, thank you so much, for your time on the program. Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll go global. Please stay with us.